Hi, good evening, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I wanted to do an update on our friend Michael. Michael has a channel, an expat living in the Philippines, and he features some really interesting stuff on hydroponics, which is his passion. He's a man of many talents, and he has a very beautiful place. He and Bonnie, his Filipino wife, have this very beautiful place in Zamora, on the island of Bohol. If you haven't seen his site, go and have a look. Right now, he could do with a little bit of encouragement. For those of you who kept up with the videos of yesterday, you'll know that Michael has been taken ill, and we've taken him into the hospital in Taliban, and he has had problems, heart problems in the past, that they're really not sure that this is connected to the heart. In fact, they don't seem to know what is wrong with him. Well, he's been feeling, certainly been feeling poorly for the last sort of week or so. We hadn't seen him. He's not exactly local, so it takes quite a drive to go out there up a difficult, long, nasty road. So we hadn't been there. I usually meet Michael in town in Taliban. That's how we meet up, and also he is involved in our charity of Terence Beth Martin Giving Hope Inc. INC. So we hadn't actually got the update. We were in touch over a few days and found that yes, I'm still not feeling that good. So finally we kind of said to Michael, why don't we found on checking on him, we found that he had been to the hospital and he'd had some tests done, and then he'd gone home. Of course, it's very difficult here because you must have quite a support system of people to help you to be in hospital. Well, we took him, we'd suggested, we'd been in touch with Bonnie, his wife, who is in New Zealand at the moment, which is their home. That's where they met. We've been in touch with her, and she asked us to take him to hospital. I was convinced that he would be better being with us up on the hill, and we now have our guest house is emptied of all the boxes and back to being a guest house. So we offered that to Michael, and finally he texted and said, "Can you come and get me?" So we went there and were shocked yesterday to find that he really didn't look well and was very weak. Had to help him even to get into the truck. So we took him to the hospital. We persuaded him. He didn't want to go. We took him to the hospital, and we took him to ER, and they admitted him. Well, all of this you'll know from the other if you've seen the other video, you'll know all of this from that, but I wanted to bring, for those who haven't seen it, so that they would know what's happened. Well, we went today, we went to see him today. He has his support system from his in-laws. Bonnie's sister lives in Taliban. They have and his, Bonnie's daughter also lives in Taliban, and so there's a large family support system there. And we went today, and he was basking in the attention of two lovely Filipino ladies, or Filipino girls, young girls, nieces, and they had been chatting to him all day, which is something that our girls would never do, because we can't get a word out of them when it's me trying to get them to speak English. Well, they were very good, and and we were so happy to see that he looked 100% better, was sitting up, was chatting, was able to swing his legs around and sit on the edge of the bed when he talked to us, and just such an incredible improvement. They still don't know what's happened. We've been trying to get him to go to see a cardiologist, but that would mean transporting him to Ubay or Tagbilaran, which is even further, and he doesn't fancy that, okay? So, respecting him and his wishes, we have suggested that, well, if he continues to improve like he has been over the last 24 hours, then he can come up once the doctors will allow him to be discharged. He can follow up on the original plan and come up and stay with us up on the hill in the guest house, which is comfortable enough, and it's a pleasant environment. There's a place to sit outside under cover, and when he doesn't want to be cooped up in the room, and we'll just take him into the family. So that's the plan there. The longer term plan is that his friends, family are all gathered around and taking care of him, and it seems likely that he will return to New Zealand. Now in New Zealand they have free healthcare, so he would have all of the resources that he would need, and we all felt that that was a good idea. All he needs to do is regain his strength so that he's free, so that he's good to travel. Now the thing is, whether you know this or not, he is hovering around 70 years old, so if he's not actually feeling that good, and he is evidently weaker than he usually is, he can order a wheelchair flight. So all that we would have to do would be to borrow a wheelchair, which I'm sure that we can do, and we can get him into the airport at Cebu. So we'll get him onto a ferry here, one of the bigger ferries, and we'll get him to Cebu. So we'll get him to the airport there, and then we'll load him onto our wheelchair in order to get him onto the airline wheelchair, and then from there it's really a very good service. They will take care of him. They'll get him through security, through all of the gates that he needs to, and onto the aircraft. And then our mutual friend Kevin, who's just returned to New Zealand, will pick him up at the airport and get him home to Bonnie, which I'm sure that seeing his wife Bonnie, which he's been missing terribly, will be as good a prescription as he can possibly get. So for those of you who've been following the story, the news is good, and we're hoping that he will regain his strength in the same increments as he did from yesterday, when he looked terrible and we were really worried, and now he's not looking terrible. He's looking pretty good, and we're hopeful that maybe another day or a couple of days max at the hospital, and he'll be able to come home with us. That's the plan. So that's it from me. Thanks for being interested. Thank you for your prayers. Please continue, because well, what's the harm in doing some praying? Thanks very much. Bye for now.